So guys, if you have already looked in your Schoology class, if you've looked this morning, I have published the new folder, okay? I want you to kind of look at it up here. If you'll notice, it's got the dates from the 12th through the 16th, and we're going to cover Article 2 and Article 3. And if you'll notice, when you look, you've got a test on Friday the 16th, okay? That test will be very similar to the test that you took last Thursday, where that you can use your notes. You can use the Constitution for that. There will be a section of like fill in the blank. There will be another section of matching where you've got to go find the part of the Constitution, read it, and decide what it matches to up there, okay? Some of you did very, very good on that test. So whatever you did to prepare for that test, how you took notes, you need to continue doing that. Those of you that did not do well, you need to figure out what you need to do better. I think what some of you need to do is just take your time, okay? Guys, it is on the calendar that progress reports will go out Thursday. Not positive that will happen, okay? Hang on, give me just a second. So guys, as you notice, some of you said, ooh, when you looked at your Constitution there, ooh, Article 2, Section 1 is long. Well, if you'll notice, guys, we're only covering Section 1 today. Tomorrow we will finish up with Article 2, so that will be sections 2 and 3 and 4. Then you will have an assignment on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we'll come in and do Article 3. Okay? All right, so we ready? You got your paper out? We're ready to get started? All right, so Article 1, the one that we've already taken a test on, remember that was on just the legislative branch. Okay? Remember, it was very lengthy in the things that was written in there. Basically told them what they could do, what they could not do, and listed all their qualifications. Okay? Well, you're going to notice, guys, from here on out, the articles are much smaller. Okay? Doesn't mean that those positions are less important, but the reason was that the legislative branch is the law-making body. They're the ones that make the laws for us. So that is why it was a little bit longer. Okay? Article 2, and you're going to need to know which, because you're dealing with 2 articles on this next test, okay? Article 2 is dealing with the executive branch. And who is a member of the executive branch? Does anybody know?
President.
It's the president. President, vice president, and his cabinet, okay? So now I know on Friday when you did that study guide that we called it for the citizenship test, I had you list the 15 different departments that were part of the cabinet, okay? When we get to the cabinet tomorrow, I will explain what that is and why they're there, okay? All right, so let's just start with Section 1. Let's start with Clause 1. And Clause 1 is dealing with the terms of office. How long should a president serve? Okay, well, there was discussion. They had already set up Article 1, so they already set up the House of Representatives and the Senate, so they said House of Representatives serves 2 years. The Senators serve how many years? 6. So they decided that we're going to go right in the middle, so a president is going to serve a 4-year term. Now, guys, if you read this, it does not state how many terms the president can serve. Okay? It just says the executive power shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the vice president chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Okay? It doesn't say how many terms that they can serve. So originally, guys, they just kind of left it open. Okay? Tradition, precedence was set with our first president being George Washington. He served 2 4-year terms for a total of 8 years. every president that followed him kind of followed that same set of laws that he kind of, just set. They always didn't serve 2 terms because sometimes they got voted out like Trump did, but others served their total of 8 years. There is nothing in the original part of the Constitution that limits that, okay? When we get to the amendments, there's actually going to be an amendment that's going to be put in that's going to limit how many terms a president can serve, and we'll get to that, okay? Now, guys, what is the job of the president?
To be the president.
But what is their, like the legislative branch is the lawmaking. They make the laws. What does the executive branch, the president, what is their job?
Makes the big decision.
Not
Enforce the
approve,
laws.
enforce. There we go. They enforce the laws. Okay? They're the ones that kind of get everything going. Okay? All right. So now let's go to section 1, clause 2. And this is telling how they're going to elect the president. Okay? All right. So, clause 2. Just going to be honest with you guys, the guys that wrote this Constitution did not have faith in the common everyday person. They did not think that they would do a good job of picking who our president would be. So they set up a system to elect the president. And I was looking, and it's actually not in there, but you need to know the system that they've set up is called the Electoral College. The Electoral College. And guys, basically what happens is when you go and you vote for president. So back in November, when I went to vote for president, there were 2 names for president. I could either vote for President Trump or I could vote for Joe Biden. Okay? That just went to the popular vote. That does not determine who our president is. In under that, there were 9 other spaces that I had to vote for 9 other people. Those are electors. Those are the people that's going to go and vote for me. Okay? Now, each state has a different number of electors. It is your House of Representatives number of members plus your senators. So every state has 2 senators, correct? Okay? House of Representatives, that varies. We have 7. So 7 plus 2 equals 9. Alabama had 9 electors. If we lived in Montana, 2 senators plus 1 representative equals 3. So they would have 3 electors they would have voted for. California, they have 54 members in the House of Representatives and 2 senators, so they get 56 votes. Okay? So you vote for your electors, then the electors turn around and vote for the president. Okay? Usually, guys, it's going to be whoever wins the popular vote in your state is who those electors are going to vote for. Okay? Because if there is 1 million people vote for candidate A and only 5 vote for candidate B, usually you're going to vote for the same electors. It's going to elect the one you want to be president. Okay? And it will say out beside it, these are the electors for candidate A. These are the electors that's going to vote for candidate B. Does that make sense to you? Okay. All right. So now, that's kind of how we did it. And we're going to do an activity. I don't know if it'll be tomorrow or it may be on Thursday. We'll do an activity where I kind of show you how the Electoral College works. Okay. There is big issues. There was big issues before this election. There's big issues now after the election of wanting to change the Electoral College where it goes to popular vote. But I'll show you how that may not be the best option either. Okay? All right, so let's go to Clause 3. And if you look in your Constitution, you'll notice you've got big brackets around the whole thing of Clause 3, correct? So that means that this is no longer valid. Okay? This is how do we elect the president? Okay? So, guys, it was set up originally that all those electors would meet in one place at one time, usually Philadelphia. Or once we got the capital moved to Washington, D.C., they would do it in Washington. Those electors would come in, and then they would vote for the president and vice president. Well, guys, the way that it originally worked was everybody's name, whether they wanted to be president or vice president, went on one ballot. And you would vote. And then they would count the ballots. The person that got the most votes became president. The person that got the second most votes became vice president. So it was possible that you could have in today's time, it was back then, you could have a Republican president and a Democrat vice president. Okay, it was possible at that time. Well, guys, the first election with George Washington, everything went fine. George Washington got the most votes. The other guy got the second most votes. He became vice president. We never hear of him. Okay. Then the next time, 8 years later, we vote for another president. Okay. This is when John Adams wins. Okay. He goes in. He gets the most votes. Second most votes becomes his vice president. And then in 1804 is where our problems start. 1804 is when Thomas Jefferson becomes our president. But guys, when the electors met to vote, they counted the votes. There was a tie. Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr had the exact same amount of votes. Got a problem, correct? Okay. So then what would happen is that if no candidate received the majority, then it would go to the House of Representatives. And the House of Representatives would be the tiebreakers. Okay? Well, guys, there was a problem. If you knew anything about Aaron Burr always solved his problems by going out back and having a pistol duel. Winner takes all, loser usually is dead. That's the way Aaron Burr solved his problems. That was the way that a lot of problems were solved back then. Well, guys, they were scared to death that that's what was going to happen, that Aaron Burr would just suggest, hey, Jefferson, let's go out back and let's solve it. But actually, guys, House of Representatives is going to go in. Aaron Burr, Thomas Jefferson works out a deal among themselves. And here was the deal. Aaron Burr had promised his best friend that he could have one of his cabinet positions if he got elected. So Aaron Burr asked, if I let you be president, will you allow so-and-so to become your blank secretary of whatever? Thomas Jefferson agreed. So Thomas Jefferson is going to be your president. And then his buddy, Aaron Burr's buddy, does get that position. So guys, it's at this point that we're going to have this changed, and we'll get to that change when we get to it in the amendments. But now what's going to happen is your name can only appear on one ballot. You either have to say you're going to be president or you're running for vice president. Okay? Well, we've even changed it further now, and it becomes a package deal. Like the president picks his vice president, you vote for them together. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
I want to be both.
You want to be what?
Both.
You can't, you can be both, but not at the same time. Okay?
Wait, why don't they let you do it separate?
Do what?
Why don't they let you do it separate?
So let's go to Clause 4. And Clause 4 is up there at the top. And this is, guys, dealing with the time of the election. When will we elect our president? Okay? So we have two elections to elect the president. We have the primary election, and that's where we get it down to basically two candidates. Sometimes we'll have more if there's a third party, but we'll get it down to one Democrat representative, one Republican representative. Okay? Those are determined by the states when those happen. But the election for president, when we do the final vote and we say we have a winner, Congress has set that date. Okay? Now, I need you to listen because it's kind of hard to understand. Okay? We elect the president the Tuesday after the first Monday in November.
Okay, so
The
the
first
Tuesday.
The Tuesday after the first Monday in November.
Wait,
Okay.
would that be the first?
No. Because if November the 1st is on a Tuesday, it will be the following week. There has to be a Monday in November before we get to the election, okay? So it will either be from the 2nd of November to the 8th of November is when we will elect the president, okay?
Bless you.
Now, November was chosen for a simple reason. Guys, when this was written, what did most people do for a living?
Work.
Farms.
The farms, right? So you think about it, in the spring, we're getting the fields ready to plant and we're planting. In the summer, we're tending to the fields. The fall, we're harvesting the fields. So usually by November, we've got all of that done. We've got our crops sold to the market, so we're good. We go on and next month into December, then we're starting to get into that holiday season. It's starting to get colder with snow. So November was the best time they thought for that to happen, okay? So it is the Tuesday after the first Monday in November, okay? So basically it will range anywhere from November the 2nd to November the 8th, okay? Sean, you had a question.
Why that specific?
I don't know.
You said it was very simple.
No, I know. I didn't say it was simple. I said it's hard. It's difficult to understand. Okay, but that is not when the winner is declared. Okay. Yes, we go and we vote for them, but remember, popular vote does not determine our president. Then those electors have to meet. The electors meet in December. Usually it's the second week in December. The electors meet and then they cast their votes. But then after they cast their votes, it's still not official until Congress meets the first time in January to actually certify the votes. Okay? So even though we do the election in November, it's actually January before it becomes official.
So you're saying that we vote,
Yes.
and then these electors will take and vote for us.
Yes.
So what if these electors, like everybody voted, let's say Republican, okay? And they were like, you know what? No.
Okay, so like I said, when you go and you vote on the ballot, it will say these are the electors that are going to vote for candidate A. These are the electors that's going to vote for candidate B. So if you voted for candidate A, then you're going to go and you're going to vote for your electors that's going to support candidate A.
Okay.
Okay.
You only pick one elector, right?
Do what?
You only pick one.
No, you will pick if your how many your state has, that's how many you will vote for. So like Alabama, at the present time, we have 9. So when you on your ballot, there would be 9 spots to vote for 9 different electors. Okay? All right, so now we've got all that set aside. Now let's go to the next clause, and the next clause actually lays out who can be president. These are the qualifications for president. Okay? So guys, if you'll remember, in the House of Representatives, they could be very young, 25 years old, had to be a citizen for 7 years, and a resident of their state. Okay, senators, they had to be 30 years old. They had to be a citizen for 9 years and a resident of their state. Well, since the president is actually the leader of our country, they wanted to make those qualifications just a little bit tougher. So here are your qualifications. Number 1, the person must be 35 years old at the time of election. We have not had a president in his 30s to serve, though. Okay, our youngest one has been, I think, 44, and that would be Obama. Kennedy,
Yes.
they were right there together at the same age. Okay,
Who's the oldest president?
oldest president is actually Biden. He's
Yeah.
going to be one of your oldest. Reagan was one of the oldest up until that time. Okay,
Yeah, but
All right.
Reagan also made sense.
When can we impeach Biden? Now?
we'll get there. We'll get there.
still don't know.
Okay.
Obama's
All right, 35 years old.
Jack Case in his 30s?
No, he was not.
I think it's Kerry.
Okay, he just looked very young,
Yeah.
very, very young.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Now here is the one that's going to get a lot of people so that they could not be president. The second qualification is they have to be a natural-born citizen, meaning when they take their first breath, they have to be a citizen of the United States, meaning their parents have to be citizens of the United States, or they have to be born on U.S. soil. That is what a natural-born citizen is. Okay? So let's just say that your parents were serving overseas in the military, you were born on an Air Force base in Germany. Since you were born on an Air Force base in Germany, you were an American citizen. Okay? We have a lot of people that is coming across the border at this time. Any child they have, technically by our definition, any child that is born here in the United States, even though mom and dad are not natural born citizens, the child will be.
We're gonna get a British person to be our president.
Well, they're going to have to be born here.
Gotcha.
Okay. So technically, Prince Harry and his wife Meghan, they already have a child, Archie. He was not born here, so he could not be. But his sister, they're supposed to have another baby. And I think it's supposed to be a girl. His sister, if she's born here in the United States, could be the president.
Gotcha.
There you go. But it's going to have to wait, 35, if she's born this year, 35 years. Okay? All right, and then there's one other requirement, okay? And this requirement is that person must have lived in the United States for 14 years. Okay? So let's say that it is somebody whose parents were from another country, they came in illegally, they had the child, so the child's an American citizen, and then they leave. That child's still an American citizen, but when they decide to run for president, they have to be a resident of the United States for 14 years before that can happen. Does that make sense?
How many years?
14. 14 years.
So if they leave the state or the
No,
United States?
country. And they go resident somewhere else. Now, if we have military officials that's serving overseas at an American military base, that does not count. Because we've had like President Eisenhower, he fought in World War II. So he was overseas in 45, and then he ran for president in 52. So that was still good. But if he had just said, okay, I'm going to marry somebody else and I'm going to live in Germany, and he made his permanent residency in Germany, he would have had to move back to the United States, live for 14 years before he could run for president. Make sense? Yes.
Does it have to be in a row?
Yes. Has to be 14 consecutive years. It can't be a year here and then go spend 2 more elsewhere and then come back from it. It has to be 14 consecutive. Okay? Now, here's something else, guys, you need to know. Anyone who is in line to become president also must meet these qualifications. So your vice president also must meet these qualifications. The person that they elect as Speaker of the House, since they're third in line, also has to meet these qualifications. Okay? Because there was, someone had said, oh, would it not be horrible if something happened to Biden and then Harris became president? And then what if she nominates that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, you know who I'm talking about, the representative from New York, as her VP? Because this person was very conservative, I was talking to, they couldn't stand the liberals at all, and she's very, very liberal. Well, the problem is that person, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, is not 35 yet. Okay, so whoever is in line has to meet these 3 qualifications. Yes, sir.
Okay, I understand that they're supposed to live 14 consecutive years and be 35.
Yes.
What if that child, say, their parents came over here, lived here for a while until that child was 14, then moved to a different country, and then moved back right before the election? Would that still count?
No, it has to be 14 years before the election.
Okay.
Okay? All right, questions?
Oh, got it planned out. I'm married someone British and our child is
Okay, that would work. Yes.
I don't have a question, but my dad was actually born on a U.S. Air Force base in Germany.
So, but, okay, so he could still do the presidency. Okay. All right, so let's go to, we got 3 more, guys. Let's go to 6. And 6 is talking about the vacancy of the president. And it's basically just saying that if the president is no longer able to serve, then the vice president will take over. Okay?
So whenever they decide to
Grandpa can't make it.
office,
Then Kamala Harris becomes president.
when do we get to impeach her?
Lord help us.
Well, that will not be up to me. Okay?
If it
At
was
this
up to you-
point, guys, it says that if both the president and the vice president cannot decide or cannot serve, then Congress will decide who will serve. Okay? Later on, you're going to see, guys, where this has got brackets around it. This is going to be obsolete because there's going to be an amendment proposed. This amendment is going to be proposed after Kennedy is assassinated. Kennedy and his vice president, which was Johnson, were both there in Dallas at the same time. And it got people questioning what would have happened if something would have happened to both of them. When we get to the amendments, you will see there is a line of succession that lists if this person can't serve, then it goes to this person. If this person can't serve, it goes down. And there's a list of like 15 different offices that the presidency would go to if one above them could not serve. Okay, and we'll get to that. But this is where you go into the Speaker of the House, would be third in line. And then after Speaker of the House, you would have your Senate pro tempore, which would be Chuck Schumer. And then you go to Secretary of State. Okay, when we get there, we'll list all that. But right now, in the Constitution, as we're looking at it right here, before any amendments are added, it basically says if the president can't serve, then it goes to the vice president. If both of them can't serve, then we go to Congress. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one, which would be 7. And 7 is talking about salary.
You got roach.
We'll kill it.
Okay.
Okay,
Say
so
those nasty words.
Okay, hang on.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so guys, at this point when this was being written, there were some people who thought that the president would do this as a voluntary service to their country, that they would do this office for free. But then they got to considering if that happened, then those people may take bribes from someone to get certain things done. So they wanted to go ahead and they wanted to provide a salary for our president, okay? If you will notice in there, guys, it doesn't have a dollar amount, okay? Because it changes ever so often, okay? But this does say that the president will be paid by the U.S. Treasury. Now, guys, president gets paid about $400,000, $500,000 a year. Okay, it wasn't that when our first president took over, but it's up to that point now. But guys, not only do they get that, but they also get some other privileges. They have free travel. If the president needs to go anywhere, they have a limousine that they can travel on. We're good. If they need to fly somewhere, there will be a helicopter that will come pick up the president there at the White House, fly him out to the Air Force Base, and then he will board a huge plane, a 737, 747, and fly him anywhere around the world that he wants to go, okay? They also have bodyguards that are there that will protect them, called the Secret Service. Secret Service used to be a lifetime position that you would have once you are done being president. You would have Secret Service for lifetime, but it has changed now that you only have it for 8 years after you are president, and then that goes away. The president also gets a house to live in. The president also gets an allowance for like clothing. I think it's like $50,000 or $100,000 a year that they get that. They have staff that is at the White House year-round, night and day, that will provide for anything they want. So if the president gets hungry in the middle of the night and needs a piece of chocolate cake, he can call down and they're going to have a piece of chocolate cake brought to him.
Wait, they give him a house after they...
No, as while he is president. While he is president, okay? Vice president also is going to get a salary. Vice president will also have a house. He will also have security. Doesn't have as many workers for him, but there are workers, okay? Yes, sir.
I think it's funny because like his clothing salary is what most people make.
In a year? It may be more than a year, 2 years. Yes.
Who needs $100,000 to buy clothes?
But you got to remember, though, they are in public all the time, so they can't wear the same suit every day, so they have to have more than just, one suit. Yes.
Well, isn't Trump the only president we've had that's declined like a lot of the benefits?
He did not decline his check. He would take the check and he would give it donate it to a charity or something. But yes, he is one of the.
Wasn't he already really rich?
He was.
Man,
He was. And actually, I have heard, like I've been watching documentaries, that him riding on Air Force One was actually a step down from his private plane that he has. So. Yes, Sam.
Can I go restroom?
If you'll give me just a
How
second.
did he
Alright,
get so
so
rude?
hurry. Alright, let's go to 8 really quick, guys. And 8 is basically saying that the president will take an oath of office. And if you will look, you actually have it there what they must say. But I want to show you a video of a president actually taking the oath of office. Maybe I could get the right one. So if y'all would.
Didn't Trump lose a lot of money when he became president?
All right, so this is when Ronald Reagan became president the first time. We're not going to watch all of this. We're just going to watch the first few minutes of it so you can see the oath of office.
Citizens, I now present the Chief Justice of the United States, the Honorable Warren Burger, who will administer the oath of office to the President-elect.
Governor, are you prepared to take the constitutional oath?
I am.
If you place your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me, I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear
I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
May I congratulate you, sir.
Okay, so if you look in your Constitution, you will see where that is written word for word in there. Okay, so every person that is in the executive branch must take this oath of office. Okay, all right, so tomorrow we will finish sections 2, 3, and 4. So we'll look at the powers of the president, the duties of the president, and what happens if a president is impeached. And then we'll do Article 3 on Thursday. Yes.